All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Board of Advisor podcast with founding member Jed Morley. Jed has been with us since day one, has been not only a member, not a membership, but a friendship, and has really turned into a great advisor to the members and me as an individual as well. Jed, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. It's awesome to be here with you. And man, you've come a long way in 7 years, buddy.
Thank you, man. And your company, Platinum Payments, is what I kind of consider the future of payments. You guys are always focused on where things are going, what are the trends, where are the pitfalls, how to protect your people. On this call today, I'd really like to cover where are things going and what should we be on the lookout for.
Absolutely. Hey, Mike, so I think the key in all things payment right now, I just always ask people, are you more confident today than you were yesterday with the way payments and banking in general is going? When you look at Silicon Valley or SVB and you look at Signature and all these different banks that have failed, and then you look at how that ripple effect has gone into every aspect of your payments, your finances, and the defaults that are happening on a regular basis, we study all of that stuff. And I'm telling you, when you look at the head of Chase Payment Tech, right, saying, hey, you haven't even begun to see changes that are coming, there are massive changes coming in all aspects of our payments. And so having a payment partner that studies it, knows it's been in this for almost 2 decades is a significant value, I think, for everybody that's in payments.
So you keep saying the term payment partner. I know what that means because we've worked together for so long. And I do feel like you're definitely not only on my side, but on the side of the member. Help people understand what is really a payment partner, because that direct access to you, your team, especially when things aren't going right, is invaluable.
Thanks. So a payment partner, the difference is you look at those big nameless, faceless companies, the big banks, right, that make it so easy to onboard. The challenge that you have with them is, do you have access? Do they ever come to an event? Do you ever get to talk to them? Do they really share knowledge and data that's going on? So a partner is somebody like us that says, listen, not only do I know what's going on in the banking and payment space, but in your industry specifically, because I have thousands of merchants in all aspects, and I'm seeing not only what's happening from a regulatory perspective, but a marketing perspective, a conversion perspective, a chargeback. So knowing what's happening, we're focused in how do we help you grow your business with the least amount of risk, but the highest conversion rates possible.
So when you decided to get into payments, it was like 20 years ago. What was it, 2004?
Yeah, that's when Platinum was started. I got in 2008, bought in as the company was growing. But yeah.
Give me a little contrast there from the beginning. What were payments then and what are payments now? Because I'm even thinking crypto. There's a lot of different technologies that are coming on board. Your technology, by the way, is amazing. That back office is absolutely phenomenal. But give me a little contrast there from 20 years ago and now. And then what are we maybe looking like in, say, 5 years?
Well, the funniest thing about this is we got started when Authorize.net was just beginning. So you think about it, from the old knuckle busters when you'd go to the gas station, and you put your card on and they'd ram that thing on, and there was no knowledge of it.
They're called knuckle busters.
The black ink, and So from that time to where the gateways first started, when they're just learning how to encrypt a little bit of data, we've been around since then. And so think about this. Everyone has these bad stories about the terminal leasing, right? When they lease the programs and you'd spend, thousands of dollars trying to lease a terminal because you couldn't buy them and nobody knew it. So we've been around since that time to now, when you look at it from the digital wallets, split payouts. And again, the thing that's changed so much, if you look at the Shopify's, the Amazons, all of these things, when the internet really took off, now e-commerce has exploded. So every aspect of that becomes significant. And now the Fed that's changing everything again from, starting in 2020 of January to launch of, earlier this year to full enforcement in November of 2025. be able to track every aspect of who we're communicating with, how our payments are being done, and to be able to turn it on or off, whether they like what we're buying socially and or financially, becomes significant concern. And so I think you have to look at it and say, what are you doing within your business to understand the ecosystem of payments, and where's that data partner or that technology going to drive you to have full transparency?
The knuckle buster. That's a good contrast, actually, because we went from the knuckle buster to literally bumping your phone against something and bang, it's paid. If we were to fast forward 5 years, because technology obviously is accelerating quickly, what do you think the contrast is in 5 years? How are things going to change?
You know, I think when you look at the technology that's there with AI and all of the ability to make instant payments, right? That is where it's all happening. Where do I need a credit card now? I don't. My phone will do it, right? And so when you think, are there the ability to take chips and, you know, you hear about wearable devices and all these things, I believe every bit of that's going to be there. So payments will change dramatically, where Bitcoin and all of these blockchains are going to be the future. And so if you're not involved in all of the digital wallets and have your payments headed that direction, you'll be left behind.
Are you guys putting together your own digital wallet, or you're just saying in general you need to be focusing on the digital wallet like aspect?
We are on the cutting edge of technology, and that means digital wallets tied directly into Visa, MasterCard, American Express, getting data sets that no one else has. And I can tell you, like, we're working with Fortune 100 companies right now, actually doing accrual accounting on a daily basis with 100% accuracy on their credit card transactional balances, and having incremental data knowing that on a typical merchant account, you have 5% to 10% loss of bad authorizations. And we can predict who and where the authorizations are going to fail before they happen, so you don't have those charges and fraud. So our fraud tools are exceptional. We're working with some of the greatest partners worldwide right now on building the future of payments and payment tech.
Tell me a little bit about the back-end technology that you guys developed. Why did you do that, first off?
Well, the back-end technology, it came to, we started something in 2014 called Merchant Lifeline, because we had all these direct response companies that were, and nutraceutical companies that were having so many chargebacks. So we were doing 10,000 plus chargebacks a month from clients. God. And again, prior to technology and the ability to understand where and digitize it. So, we grew this company and it was pretty successful, but we couldn't scale it because it was all manual. So we have all these people doing all these chargebacks. I flew to Merlin, met with the chargeback representative centers, looked at this technology and said, it's not where we want to grow at the time. So we peeled back. And so I literally still own the domain chargebacksucks.com, because I looked at it and said, I could fix it, but they didn't want it fixed. So the technology that exists today, there's money in it for the main networks. So they don't want everything fixed. But I can give you now stats and analytics on what to do predictively before it happens, so that you don't have the chargeback. And if you do, I've got all the tools to prove the things that you need to win those cases and that kind of thing. So it really came down to building a system that we felt comfortable with, knowing that no one else had the technology that we have.
So you're able to determine potentially before one happens.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, it's all on AI. So you look at this and say, on a whole data set and scrubbing the data of the transactional processing history, we know in industries what's happening because we're tied into the Visa network and again, it's tied into certain banking rails right now.
Right.
So there are certain rails that we can go on TSYS and Global, but we can't on First Data today, right? Yeah. So you look at this and say, as you switch over, I can literally show you a data set on when to bill, how the billing works in the life cycle of a merchant, who's got a bad auth. And what I mean by that is a bad authorization could be a bad CVV or a bad whatever. So why run that card if we already have the information beforehand? We can fix it. So you're going to close a higher percentage and have way less fraud or potential fraud by using tools that are there to predict and analyze the charges.
And then once a chargeback actually transpires, what type of, because those are pains in the butt to go provide all the documentation, transactional documentation, contractual documentation. I mean, it's like, is it, depending on the value, is it really worth it? But then if you don't, like, does it then harm your account? Because if you're right, I mean, it's just a mess.
It is a mess.
So what tools are you providing there?
So the greatest thing about this, and again, it's the system itself is rigged in the sense that Visa doesn't necessarily, and I don't want to say care, but they make money on chargeback, right?
Okay.
And so there's a process to that.
Yeah.
So there are tools like Ethika, Verify, RDR, all of these there to alert you of chargebacks. Great tools that just say, hey, this is coming, so you can either accept it or not. But you pay a fee for all of those extras. Our system will say we have the exact same data without the fee structure so that you can then provide the stats analytics, decide whether you want to take that chargeback or not, reach out to the customer, reverse it before it affects your credit. So we're giving you tools, but then also every single stat and data point that you need to win the chargeback and have all of the proof across thousands of data sets so that our system is so much more significant than anyone else's for winning chargebacks if they come.
Well, it sounds like the pre-notification, the tools through the challenge, and then, what is it that are you helping companies understand, like, best practices on how to even keep the chargeback from happening in the first place?
Absolutely. And the nice thing with us is because we have such a broad data set in merchant, volume, we can come in and say, hey, in this vertical, this MCC code, right? Merchant category code or SIT code.
Sure.
Here's the risk factors that we're seeing. We're starting to see these trend. So we can go back to our merchant and say, you need to avoid these things because this is what's triggering this result. And so it gives us a lot of insight.
So you're even giving them information on shaping their offer.
Correct.
And keywords to use, not use. Liability they may be bringing on themselves just by enthusiastically trying to sell their offer, but with a little bit of wisdom, they can do it better.
I was just at another big event, right? And one of the people on stage was talking about, hey, what I do is I provide this lifetime offer. And I'm like, okay, so my radar goes off saying, don't ever do that. You can't do that. So there's certain things that, as having a partner in payments, we know what you can and can't say. Again, we also know what we want to help you do to convert, because the conversion rate is absolutely essential for your business, right?
Yeah.
But there's a fine line between how do you manage chargebacks, how do you run the risk and the value add that you have there, at the same time, do it the right way. And so for us, that's really having a payment partner. And you'll never find that with people that didn't come from, so we didn't start out as bankers, right? When you asked me the question.
You started out as processor.
Well, no, we didn't. So we think about it. I was a merchant long before I ever got into this business. I owned a real estate company, a brokerage company. I ran all kinds of different businesses. I ran an e-com platform. And so when you think about it, I didn't start out learning this business by becoming a payment guy. I was a business owner
You were on
first,
the other side of it.
and then we still have to this day a sister company that runs massive. We sell over 1 million books a year through this business. We run massive coaching programs, resells and stuff. And so when you look at that and you say, okay, there is a enormous value add because we are still merchants and manage dozens and dozens of our own merchant accounts every month. So we're looking at all of this stuff for our own stuff.
Yeah.
At the same time, adding value back to partners.
Right. And let's get into just the sheer contribution benefit in working with Platinum Payment. Because if they go to platpay.com/BA, they're going to impact an orphanage in the Dominican Republic on every single transaction. Tell me about that a little bit. Why do you do it? It was definitely something that I thought was an amazing move by you. But just tell me about the spirit of contribution in the company, Platinum Payments.
Yeah, so it was actually founded with you, Mike. And this is what's kind of fun, right? We've always said, how do we impact people's lives? There's only so much value you can get by transactional value, right? So much that I can get from making a contribution or adding value to your business. So we said, what if we could take a percentage of the money that we generate here and donate it back towards this orphanage, Advocates of Love? Mm-hmm. And so by doing that, we said as a group, if we took a portion of all of the dollars generated from Board of Advisors, and so because of that, you think about this, you see it every month, and it's been certified by you, which is awesome, because I think that when you really look at all of the other groups out there that say, hey, I do this or that, you can vouch and see that we've donated $500,000 to Advocates of Love. Now we're doing it in multiple other levels through our Plat Gives program. Mm-hmm. But the key is this: we all provide a service. What's the difference? What's going to make a difference in somebody else's life? And so for me, I've always been willing and able to travel and help those that need help. Mm-hmm. And it's been such a huge blessing. So it's not about, can I make a ton of money? I'm going to always provide, but how can I give back and have impact? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a difference between how can I influence someone and how can I impact? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that the Plat Gives, or Board of Advisors /BA. I'm sorry, Platinum or platpay.com/BA really makes a difference. And you're going to have to take that.
No, we're good. And that's the part of just having a conversation where we can kind of go through the nuances of effortlessly transacting with a payments partner that's not only going to have your back, they're going to help prevent issues. If there is an issue, then they're going to give you all the tools to fight it or to mitigate against it. But also, you kind of have not just a payments partner, you have a contribution partner. It's something I think every person wants to do. They want to give, they want to contribute, they want to do something for somebody else. Everybody wants, the natural aspect of a human, you want to help another person, right? I mean, if you ask somebody, if you could do anything, what would you do? Oh, I'd like to do something that really helps people. That's what you get most of the time, right? So giving people the edge of doing that consistently with every transaction, I think is awesome. If there were maybe one or two key things that you would recommend to businesses who have processing, what would be either a warning, guidance, wisdom? Give me a couple things that we could really leave everybody with that just says, going forward, here's something that you definitely want to make sure you've got your eye on or you want to protect yourself with. Give us something that's really anchorable or valuable, actionable now.
I think that whether they use us or not, everybody should go through an audit every 6 months. Yeah. Look at their accounts, see if the fees are being raised. This is the other tool that we have. I can now say with 100% confidence, I can look at the merchant account and know that there's no junk fees, hidden fees, stuff. And that happens across the board, right? I don't care how big your payment processor is. You'll start seeing increased little fees and micro credits and stuff like that are there. So audit is a big thing. The other one is make sure that you have redundancy. And if you don't understand what that means, that doesn't just mean have a backup account. And I think that people don't understand. They always say, well, I've got a PayPal and I've got a Stripe. And I'm like, good. You have two nameless, faceless companies that you have no relationship with that they're not true backups, right? So you need to have, and rails are big. That's going to be bigger than ever. Knowing what rail it's going on. So is it on TSYS Global, Fifth Third? And to me, that means something. To most people, it doesn't, right? It would be like, and let me give you an example. It would be like having a cell phone with your spouse or your significant other that says, hey, I've got AT&T, you've got Verizon, we've got redundancy. So if I have crappy service, we can use the other phone, right? That's what payments do, is it allows for you to say, if there's anything at all, have a backup, have multiple accounts, because it's your insurance policy. And here's the thing that makes me crazy. I will tell people for years, please do this. And they don't. And then, no fault of most of their own, I'll have people that you and I are good buddies with that I've told for years, and they'll call me, bro, they just held 100,000.
Can't believe it.
Exactly. And so then we're stuck going, now I'm at a bad spot. They're in a bad spot because they have either all their money held or they have a minimum, time.
Well, is it harder if that happens? Is it harder to get a new one? Because
absolutely.
So the new processor can see.
Absolutely. And so I tell people all the time.
So it's like having a ding on your credit.
Without a doubt. And the worst part about this is everybody will say, why are they switching? They've got this. And so then I have to show them. And so they'll never get as good a rate. They never get as good a terms. And so I'm like, do it when you don't need it. It's way better for all of us, right? I'm happier. You're happier. So I tell people, please do it now when you don't need it. Now, Mike, here's the thing that I will say I'm working on, and this is something that has been probably one of the hiccups, right? When you go with the group like us, our underwriting process is a little bit different. It's harder in the sense of I have to know my customer. So the KYC, the anti-money laundering rules, all those things apply to us because we broker those payments, right? And so when you go to the big companies, they've made it where their risk and underwriting is significantly easier because they're coming in and saying, hey, I have one account and I'm giving everybody sub accounts. I'm taking on the risk. So I don't really underwrite until transactions happen. So there's a few things that you have to look at and say, okay, there are differences, but the difference is this. When I set you up, I've really taken the time to know your business, know your model, know how it works. And then I can consult with you and say, let's split this out and not mix because this is happening all the time. You have a small offer. You have a big offer. They're completely different. If I'm selling a book and I'm selling a coaching program, they're completely different. Don't commingle those funds because the type of chargebacks are different. Their risks are different. So again, we come in and we break out your business and really help you understand it, to structure it correctly, to mitigate against risk, and then you have the diversification. But I think the biggest thing is just have an audit from somebody, get to know a payment partner, somebody you can talk to, because things are going to change. Who are you going to call when you get that call? And probably the biggest marketer of all time in the last 6-12 months, Alex Hormozi, right?
Yeah.
Done a phenomenal job. I love his book, $100 Million Off. The opening
100 million leads, right?
Well, that was, yes, the new one, but the $100 million offer, his opening chapter was what? $100,000 chargeback, held all of his funds, couldn't make his payments. It forced him to change everything in his life. It was because of exactly what we're talking about, not knowing how to set up your correct payments. And it forced him to do everything different. And again, if anybody reads that one chapter, man, you'll learn so much on what not to do and how you could mitigate that by having just the right payments, the right processors, how you set things up. And so again, I highly recommend,
Well, business is one thing and one thing only: money in the door.
Exactly.
So you want to partner with somebody that can help you do that, help you do it more often. And when the door shuts, can help you get it back open really quick, right? No money in the door, you have no business. It's non-existent, right?
Right.
Number one principle. So number one principle means you're kind of number one priority. Again, if you want, or I wouldn't even say if you want, you definitely need and should be protecting yourself with a processor that will partner with you. Platpay.com/BA will give you the ability to do that. You can partner with Jed right now. You will not only get a great relationship, you will get great performance, and you will also be contributing to kids in the Dominican Republic that, quite frankly, are at the very edge of survival, and that orphanage helps them to get back on track long term. One of the best operations I've ever seen, and the founder doesn't take a penny. All monies go to the kids and the operation that supports the kids. So great selection by you. Great interview. Platpay.com/BA is a direct channel to strike that relationship. Is there anything that we left out?
I think the only thing I would add to this is that I've watched Mike Calhoun change, grow, evolve, right? And so watching Board of Advisors from the beginning has been awesome. So congratulations first to you and
Thank
what
you,
you guys have built. It's awesome. Being a part of that has been super valuable for me personally. So a huge shout out. So I think that when you look at the value of having partners, and when I say that, you really look at this and say, I've watched you grow and develop. You've watched us do the same. The value of having that network and that community is actually invaluable. Because again, capital is essential to business. Human capital is every bit as essential. Having the two together with the right relationships allow you to grow and scale business. And so I think that you look at this, we are talking about payments, absolutely, and that's what I do, and we're really good. But you're the best at driving great connections and leads. And so for us, been a huge value. So the ROI for us been absolutely awesome. But I tell people all the time, if you really want to get back, give as much as you can, because the more you give, the more you get back.
Of course.
And so I think BA has been a huge role or value for us. So again, I would give you a huge shout out to say, hey, buddy, watching you and your family grow has been awesome. And that's more valuable to me than any other relationship or money. But watching how you've given to other people has been huge.
Well, I'll never forget our first meeting where we stepped over into the other room to have our conversation about, is this for you a great fit? Because I wanted you on the board, right? I wanted you to be part of board of advisors and what we were doing. And you said, I will, but I need to know you're going to take this seriously. We're going to be doing this a certain way. I want to make sure that, we have a certain code of ethics. Like you set the bar, or you help reinforce the bar very well from day one. And I think when you have guys that step in like that, as committed as you to all the right principles, it puts gas in your tank to be able to do that long term, even when it gets tough. So, there's an aspect of just having you on my side helped me get through some of the toughest times.
Awesome.
Hey, great show, great call. Loved having you. Let's do this again. And maybe what we do is we showcase a little bit of the back end.
Right? Absolutely. That'd be great.
Showing them what you've built and how easy it is. I think would be the visuals always go a long way. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Jed Morley, Platinum Payment Systems, platpay.com/BA. Thank you for everything, Jed.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Bye.